Deep within the fierce and unforgiving rainforest, the laws of survival are usually dictated by speed, power, and endless running. However, there is a creature that does quite the opposite. With an almost eternal stillness, it has thrived for millions of years high up in the peril-ridden jungle. Tonight, accompanied by the gently flickering hearth and this story you need not effortfully remember, let us step into its true life. This seemingly sluggish sloth hangs quietly from an ancient branch of the canopy, 40 meters above the ground. Its every breath is so faint that even the sharpest predators passing by would mistake it for nothing more than a gnarl on the tree bark. The scientific community once viewed this creature with bewilderment and mockery, even naming it after sloth, one of the 7 deadly sins. Yet, few truly understand that this being, branded with the name of laziness, is actually a reclusive philosopher that utilizes energy to the absolute limit. Along its long evolutionary path, it surrendered the right to run, but in exchange, it gained a timeless survival wisdom that endures nature's harshest winnowing. This is no tragedy of passive retreat, but a hymn of life softly sung across the river of time with extreme restraint, tenderness, and endurance. Now, please let your breath settle down slowly and quietly with the midnight rain of the forest, and listen to this miracle of stillness from the high green screen. As the morning light parts the heavy mists over the Amazon and sunbeams sprinkle bit by bit onto the damp leaves, the entire forest begins to awaken. Countless creatures are crying out, hunting, and frantically expending their energy for mere scraps of survival. Yet, the sloth's day begins in absolute silence. It slowly opens its eyes, which bear a natural dark hue and seem forever touched by weariness and gentleness. There is no trace of anxiety in its gaze, nor any dread of the unknown. For the sloth, moving just a single step requires several minutes of planning and execution. Every motion looks like a close-up shot slowed down 1,000 times in a movie. To understand this slowness, we must first uncover its astonishing, instrument-like physiological ledger. In the world of warm-blooded animals, maintaining body temperature is an expensive energetic expense, but the sloth chooses a policy of extreme fiscal austerity. Its basal metabolic rate is incredibly low, only 1/3 to 1/2 that of mammals of similar size, which means it consumes a pitifully small amount of calories each day. To see this low energy consumption through to the end, the sloth has even abandoned the mammalian instinct to shiver for heat generation when cold. When the early morning rainforest is chilly, it moves like a cold-blooded reptile, slowly shifting to a branch hit by direct sunlight, raising its body temperature through sunbathing. Its body is like a precise solar collector, unhurried, perfectly attuned to the gifts and rhythms of nature, making no futile struggles. Under this extreme restraint, time seems to lose its sharp edge upon its body, turning into a river that flows so slowly it almost grinds to a peaceful halt. If we turn our gaze to the internal world of the sloth, we find that its digestive system is likewise a long and lonely spiritual practice. Within its small frame lies an enormous, multi-chambered stomach that accounts for roughly 1/3 of its entire body weight. This stomach is packed with its sole source of sustenance, the coarse-fibered, toxin-laced, and nutritionally destitute leaves from the high rainforest. To convert these tough leaves, shunned even by insects, into energy, billions of specialized microbes reside in the sloth's stomach, silently carrying out a slow fermentation in the dark. This is by no means an overnight process. A single green leaf it swallows often undergoes a journey spanning a month or even a month and a half before being completely digested and absorbed. Throughout this lengthy digestive cycle, its stomach is always heavy, preventing it from leaping and darting gracefully through the canopy like a monkey. It must restrain its appetite and endure the heaviness brought by food that lingers for so long, living each day like a silent, burdened march. Yet, it is precisely this miracle of digestion, where speed is brought to zero, that allows the sloth to carve out an absolute sanctuary of its own in the bloodless food competition of the rainforest. It does not compete with powerful primates for sweet fruits, nor with fierce birds for tender insects. It merely chews on bitter leaves that nobody else wants. In this unapplauded journey of discipline, it transforms scarcity into abundance and heaviness into stability, constructing a haven far from the madding crowd in the deepest recesses of the canopy. If a low metabolism and slow digestion are the cornerstones of the sloth's survival, then its unique muscular and skeletal structure is an anatomical miracle hanging high in the sky of fate. When a human adult attempts to hang from a pull-up bar, within a few minutes, the arm muscles throb with intense soreness and weakness due to lactic acid buildup. Yet, a sloth can hang upside down, back to the earth, tens of meters above the ground for days and nights on end, never letting go even in its sleep. The secret lies in its seemingly frail arms, which possess a highly specialized tendon mechanism that locks its limbs firmly onto the branches. When its flexor tendons are pulled downward by the body's gravity, they automatically close and lock, meaning it does not need to expend any active muscular force to maintain its suspension. For the sloth, gripping a branch is not an action requiring forceful resistance, it is a naturally occurring, most relaxing state of rest under the influence of gravity. Even in rare instances when an individual reaches the end of its life and its heart stops beating, it will still maintain its living posture, tightly clasped to the treetop. Not until the wind and rain completely weather its bones will it softly and silently plummet from the canopy it loved all its life into the embrace of the earth on a quiet night. Aside from this ingenious locking mechanism, the white muscle fibers responsible for explosive power and rapid movement have almost completely degenerated in the sloth, replaced by red muscles engineered for endurance. These muscles cannot provide a swift pounce or an explosive escape, but they endow the sloth with a tireless, static power to weather the passage of time on the windswept canopy. Its life is spent gathering all its strength inward, quietly welcoming the sunrise and sunset of the rainforest in a posture akin to a living sculpture, yet, behind this nearly perfect philosophy of stillness lies a cruel and inescapable riddle of destiny, which marks the most perilous moments of a sloth's life. Although they spend over 90% of their time in the safety of the canopy, about once a week, they must make a decision that defies all survival instincts. In the quiet dawn or dusk of the rainforest, they climb down the thick, mottled trunks, step by agonizingly slow step, descending to the death-threatened ground just to defecate. Because the forest floor is soft and riddled with unseen dangers, and because the sloth's hind limbs have long adapted to hanging, it cannot walk upright on the ground. Once on the floor, the sloth can only drag itself forward using the sharp claws of its forelimbs to grip grass roots, moving through the mud and leaf litter like a severely wounded soldier. At this stage, any jaguar, margay lurking in the undergrowth, or giant anaconda in the grass could easily claim its life. According to long-term observations and statistics by biologists, more than half of all sloths meet their demise during these brief tens of minutes when they leave the canopy and venture onto the ground. People often wonder why a creature so exquisitely evolved never learned to relieve itself directly from the treetops, choosing instead to risk its life coming down. The answer to this riddle is finally revealed in the marvelous, mutualistic symbiotic universe built by countless microscopic lives upon the sloth itself. When the sloth defecates with great difficulty on the ground, the specialized moths living in its thick fur, sloth moths, take the opportunity to lay their eggs in the fresh dung. When the next generation of moths hatches and matures, they fly back up to the canopy to find a sloth, which serves as their lifelong habitat and breeding ground. As these moths die and decompose within the sloth's fur, the nutrients released happen to nourish a unique green alga that grows wildly in the hair. This alga not only paints the sloth with a perfect, dark green camouflage during the rainy season, blending it seamlessly into its surroundings, but also serves as a precious micronutritional supplement when food is scarce. To nurture this community of tiny lives and maintain that life-saving green coat, the sloth willingly braves mortal peril, fulfilling an ancient contract with the earth once every week. This journey into danger is no longer a symbol of stupidity, but a bond of destiny deeply intertwined with the entire ecosystem, transcending individual life and death. Returning once more to the high canopy, the sloth becomes an invisible sage wrapped in greenery, quietly watching the shifting winds and clouds of the rainforest. In the sky above, the harpy eagle, the most terrifying aerial apex predator of the jungle, circles with a massive wingspan and razor-sharp talons capable of easily crushing a monkey's skull. The harpy eagle possesses immaculate eyesight. Any figure darting frantically through the canopy is locked into its gaze in a split second, inviting a lethal dive. Yet, when the eagle's cold, piercing eyes sweep across the branch where the sloth hangs, it almost always overlooks it entirely, never pausing for a second. In the visual logic of a predator, motion signifies life and food, whereas pure stillness blended with environmental colors equates to nothing more than worthless dead wood or stone. With its ultimate slowness, the sloth weaves a perfect blind spot right under the predator's nose, successfully deceiving the top hunters. Faced with mortal danger, it displays no violent resistance, but rather an almost meditative forbearance, dissolving itself entirely into the surrounding world. Over the long ages, it has seen too many creatures perish from a moment of impulse, and too many strong beasts exhaust themselves to death in pursuit of speed. It merely stays in place, letting the wind blow and the rain fall, letting the seasons turn, silently hoarding every faint ounce of energy to endure in the deepest silence. This slowness may look like weakness and incompetence in the eyes of the secular world, but within the dimension of time, it is an unrivaled, wisdom-filled defense mechanism of the highest order. The midnight rainforest welcomes another delicate, lingering downpour. Fine raindrops patter against banana leaves, generating a rustic, soothing white noise. Hanging from that ancient high trunk, the sloth slightly adjusts the angle of its body, letting the warm rain wash through its thick, algae-covered coat. In the prologue, we marveled at its counterintuitive stillness and its seemingly perilous riddles of fate. Now, all those mysteries have found their home in this peaceful rain. It has left the world no thrilling hunting legends, nor glorious records of conquering territories. What it leaves behind is simply a living, breathing, fluid microforest. Upon its body, time is no longer a monster urging life to sprint forward relentlessly, but a breath of clear wind flowing gently through the foliage without leaving a trace. It uses its entire life to prove to us that in this universe filled with anxiety, competition, and clamor, slowing down is actually an extremely decent and dignified way to live. Listening to the rain gathering outside your window and watching the dying embers of the hearth pulsing faintly in the dark, can you feel that profound serenity drifting down from the high canopy? There is no need to fret over unfinished tasks, nor worry about tomorrow's unknowns. Like that sloth suspended beneath the starry sky, lay down all your defenses and burdens. Let your tight muscles fully unwind with every rise and fall of your breath. Let your weary mind slowly find its footing and settle into this story you need not try to remember. The night is far spent, and the tale of the rainforest has come to an end. May you carry this ultimate tenderness and tranquility. Gently close your eyes, have a beautiful dream, and good night.